Guys, there's some breaking news on the forefront of hair loss and research into medications and things that can help us. Most of us know that finasteride is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, which helps prevent testosterone from converting into DHT, which can do a couple different things: cause your prostate to grow bigger, big yikes, but it can also stop your hair from growing. However, there are some people that are wary of taking finasteride, which is traditionally taken orally, because of the side effects that can sometimes occur, namely sexual side effects and or mental brain fog. So these are some of the reasons why people don't want to take finasteride, and there is actually some new ground that is breaking on this front. So this is actually taken from the HIMSS website when they're talking about potential side effects of finasteride and oral versus topical finasteride. But they mention that there is concern of sexual side effects, even though it occurs in less than 5% of cases, but 5% is still substantial, right? And these potential side effects include decreased sex drive, erectile dysfunction, and ejaculation problems, and they generally happen early on in therapy and subside as your body gets accustomed to the medication. In extreme cases, the effects may last longer. Now, I am not saying that this is something that happens all the time, but I have read stories on Trestlist and other places online that talk about people suffering for years after using finasteride orally. So this is something that, is on people's minds, and as a man, you're probably concerned with the fact because you don't want your junk to not work anymore. So anyways, back to the article. So, we talk about finasteride, and there's that concern. However, there is research about topical finasteride, and basically, this HIMSS website is saying, there's some research coming out about topical finasteride in 2018, 2020. There was 33 scientific articles on topical finasteride that had similar findings, showing positive results with a favorable safety profile, but the results are still ongoing, and therefore what they're recommending is still using oral finasteride, the thing that could potentially have side effects, which, I understand, right? So we're still studying it, and it's just something that's occurring, but there are side effects, and as much as maybe 5% of the population dealing with some sexual side effects, which is, I think substantial. If 5% of the people that watch this video walk away with sexual side effects, you guys would probably stop watching these videos. Okay, anyways, I just found this on Reddit. This is some new research that's coming out. We can see this was published the 11th of October 2021, so relatively new. This is called Efficacy and Safety of Topical Finasteride Spray Solution for Male Androgenic Alopecia, a randomized controlled clinical trial in phase 3. So if we look at this study, right, let's evaluate it a little bit. I'm not, the best at doing this, but I did learn a little bit about evaluating stuff inside of college. So we see that this is a randomized, double-blind, double-dummy, parallel group. That sounds a lot like how I identify myself. A 24-week study was conducted in adult male outpatients with androgenic alopecia at 45 sites in Europe. So it's not just consolidated to one site. Efficacy and safety were evaluated with finasteride, testosterone, and DHT concentrations being measured. So let's talk about the results real quick. Of 458 randomized patients, 323 completed the study and 446 were evaluated for safety. So a lot of them completed this study. Change from baseline and target area hair count at 24 weeks was significantly greater with topical finasteride than placebo. The adjusted mean changed from 20.2 versus 6.7 hairs. So this basically means that there was a significant difference in those that took the finasteride versus those that were just being told, hey, you're gonna get finasteride, but it was basically a sugar pill. So that means, let's continue on. So let's go on. Statistically significant differences favoring topical finasteride over placebo were observed for change from baseline and target area hair count at week 12, and investigator assessed change from baseline and patient hair growth loss at 24 weeks. Incidence and type of adverse events and cause of discontinuation did not differ meaningfully between topical finasteride and placebo. No serious adverse events were treatment related. It says that the plasma finasteride concentrations were greater than 100 times lower, and reduction from baseline and mean serum DHT concentrations were lower with topical versus oral finasteride, with less likelihood of systemic adverse reactions of a sexual nature related to decrease in DHT with topical finasteride. So the interesting thing here that we're reading is that it seems like oral finasteride really doesn't have that great of an advantage, although it's not necessarily comparing oral to topical in efficacy. What it is saying is that there is a significant difference between placebo, or someone not taking finasteride, and someone who is taking finasteride in the total target area hair count. In fact, like a very significant change in growth. Not only that, but they do compare the fact that topical finasteride reduces the amount of finasteride concentration in plasma by greater than 100 times lower. So that means that we're getting less exposure systemically to finasteride if we use it topically, which makes sense with this spray as opposed to just taking it orally and it dissolving into our system. And that they didn't encounter anybody that had any adverse conditions or reactions, I should say, to this topical finasteride. And if they used 323 subjects, which was the number that completed it, and we do, the 5%, statement that people suffer from adverse events as much as 5% when it comes to oral finasteride. Technically, if that is true, we should be getting 16.5 individuals that suffer some kind of adverse sexual reaction. However, the study is still small. I mean, we're talking about a couple hundred people, not a couple thousand people. So it's possible that we just haven't discovered those side effects, and this study is just moot. However, it is significant, meaning that it was a couple hundred people. We didn't discover any sexual side effects, and this might be a viable treatment alternative to oral finasteride that you may want to consider. So pretty cool overall, and could be potentially a game changer when it comes to taking finasteride. So if you guys like content like this, where I cover recent research that's going on inside of hair loss, different drugs and medications, let me know. I love doing this. I think it's really interesting, and I'm learning more as I do it every single time. But if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff, and I will see you soon.